Dropping hairpins. Taylor uses a hairpin chair in the NYT interview. In her recent New York Times interview, Taylor is seated on a hairpin chair, and several times throughout the interview, she shifts and leans to the side to expose its telltale double loop. If you're unfamiliar with the term, this is what a hairpin chair looks like. Remember this, it is crucial. Dating back to the 1940s, it has a double loop forming the back because it was designed to use as little material as possible, a response to the material shortages at the time. The connection to Gaylor, of course, is through dropping hairpins, the term used by the queer community to mean dropping hints that you're queer. In the weeks following the Stonewall riots of 1969, and stay with me, queer publications who wrote about the riots referred to them as, quote, the hairpin drop heard around the world. Taylor has engaged with the term and concept of dropping hairpins for years. Or, conversely, not dropping them, meaning she's still closeting. The New York Times interview wasn't the first time she used a hairpin chair. She also famously used it as a prop during the Vigilante Shit performance on Eras. See Exhibit B. There are songs where hairpins are referenced in lyrics, namely in Right Where You Left Me. She says, I swear you could hear a hairpin drop, twisting the common phrase, you could hear a pin drop. This is not a coincidence. Then, a few lines later, she says, I stayed there, dust collected on my pinned up hair, indicating that her hairpins haven't dropped, but rather are still in her hair, meaning she's still closeting. In The Great War, she again twists a common phrase, taking hair trigger and turning it into your finger on my hairpin triggers. How has anybody missed this? I mean, how blind do you have to be? When Speak Now TV came out, and stick with me here, many Swifties commented on how weird her hair looked on the new cover because there was an odd loop at her temple. But Gaylor's noticed, because they always do. Gaylor's noticed that it looked exactly as if she had a hairpin pinning up her hair for long enough for that loop shape to form. And then she took out the hairpin. Exhibit C. A year later, when the Fortnite music video came out, Taylor was chained up in the asylum with an absurd number of hairpins pinning back her hair. The asylum and its chains and handcuffs were assumed to be a metaphor for being locked in the closet, and all the hairpins in her hair support that. She's still wearing all the hairpins because they haven't dropped yet. Unlike my mic, which I'm dropping now. See Exhibit C. Coming to the New York Times interview video, the question for me was, did she get to choose that chair herself? First, it's worth saying that we all know how meticulous she is about the details and everything that she does that's for public consumption. That alone strongly suggests that she probably did choose it. The New York Times interviewed several different people. Other than Taylor, not a single one of them used a hairpin chair. Moreover, several of these people are in their homes. Mariah is clearly in her home because the background matches known pictures of her house, including her pink piano and the wall behind it with memorabilia and awards from her career. Duh, look at it. It's undeniable. Undeniable. So several of the artists are definitely in their homes, and the country writers are in the Bluebird Cafe. It's reasonable to assume that all the artists got to choose where they wanted to do their interview. And thus, it's also reasonable to assume that they may have gotten to choose what chairs they were sitting on. For example, Nile Rodgers is perched on a little stool with an electric guitar strapped over his shoulder, which I have to imagine was almost certainly all his choice. Obviously, it's difficult to confirm it, but I think it's safe to say that Taylor probably got to choose her chair too, and she chose a hairpin chair. and then periodically throughout the interview twisted her body and leaned to the side to expose that it was a hairpin chair. Ladies and gentlemen of the Gaylor jury, I rest my case. This is undeniable evidence. Taylor Swift is communicating to us through chairs. Case, jury, court dismissed.